So welcome back to the Idarium Hangar. This is Mike. I'm going to talk to you about another Unicron update. So it's update number 2. And the thing I want to say is that I wanted to wait a little bit longer, but well, my little sheet of notes here, I'm running out of space and I need to just make this video, or update number 2 will be like a 30-minute video. So I want one thing to say before we get into all the stuff that's going on. There's not a scenario that this thing doesn't get backed. So getting into this, there's some issues. Well, we've got Zeta. Zeta's out there putting out this teaser pic, constantly putting out teaser pics. Now they won't show you the whole thing because I don't think they've got it printed yet, hot off the 3D printer. You know what I mean? But the thing is they're trolling Haslab. And it's really going to tick everyone off if it's not the 40 inches that is rumored, which they haven't said anything. Zeta hasn't come out and said it's 40 inches. It's just there's old plans and designs from back in the day that people think this is. Now, I don't truly think this is even the same thing. I think this is completely different. But if you can see, looking at this hand here, you see it has that classic double thumb, and it's got the thumb hole on both sides, and they did a hole filler. So that's a classic Zeta move. But I mean, did they just upscale what they did with their hands on their combiners? I don't know. It's pretty interesting though. And then, I mean, this is getting somewhere, but I want to see the whole bot. You know, you're gonna tease us with this stuff and not show us the whole bot. So that's kind of frustrating. So next thing I want to talk about, let's getting into actual Haslab discussion, is that this thing is never going to see a retail release. Haslab, you're backing it now, and that's the only way you'll ever get it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, because a lot of people still think, oh, no, they'll reissue it, they'll recolor it, they'll put it in a different box. Oh, it'll be $250 at retail. If it's $250 at retail, that's because you specifically bought it for $600 and something, and you went somewhere to Walmart and tried to return it or something. I don't know. There's no scenario that Walmart's going to be carrying this thing for $250. There's no scenario that Target's going to have it for $250. There's no scenario that this thing comes out after this one production run. Now, there is a scenario that they make more than what's backed. They make an extra 1,000 for international, but they shouldn't. Because the justification for that was because they didn't open it to international. Now it's open to international, but it just costs a premium through one of the 3 other sellers that will ship it international, which is TF Sourced, Car Mall, and I think BBTS. So those are the 3 places if you're international. So that's opened up there. This thing will never get another production run. The barge will never get a production run. What happens if the barge does a second production run? If the barge does a second production run, there's never a chance for another Haslab project. So Haslab's dead after that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But the number one reason, if the barge or this Unicron ever has another production run, is because nobody's going to care. Everybody's going to do the wait and see and wait for clearance thing. Because guess what? I'm Mr. Wait and See and Wait for Clearance. And I'm in on 2 of these. So, hey, that's all there is to that. So the next thing is I still think it's going to be better than Zeta. Now, we already talked about Zeta. I still think Haslab's design and look and aesthetic is going to beat Zeta. And I know Zeta looks good, and they make big bots. They make bots that look good. And they haven't shown us everything, and the head sculpt looks good. I think in the end, you put them side by side, Haslab's going to look better. Now, if Zeta is bigger, that's going to be more impressive. But guess what? Not everybody can store a bigger bot. So they've done their research, and I've accepted the 27 inches. Although if Zeta puts one, I'll probably get it too. So next thing I want to talk about is the backer numbers and how, like, we're just going, oh, well, it was so great at first. We had like 2,000 right away, and then now we're only getting like 70 a day. And chill out, man. That's the way it works. The people that can afford it without having to move a lot of finances around, those people order right away. And then the rest of the world figures out how to make it happen financially and they wait closer to the end because, hey, I got time, let me make sure I've got this money, because you are having to pay for it up front. It's not like you're clicking a pre-order button, that's nice and easy. You literally have to make sure that your mortgage still gets paid, that your car payment still gets paid, and all that stuff. Those are realities when you're buying a $627 figure after tax. So at the end of this, it shoots way up. Like we were looking at the barge, like a week out, going, just every site saying it's not gonna back. And I'm like, yeah, it will. Like, why wouldn't it? And then at the end, it shot 3,000 past, 3,800 past the backer mark. So I see the same thing happening here. We'll probably see 10,000 on it, but if it just barely hits the 8,000, there's no chance of it having 7,900 though. It will have the 8,000. The other thing is, and I talked about it in my news, is why is this not on Good Morning America and getting promoted? And I just put that show out because my wife watches it, and it's the only one I can think of, I guess. I don't watch these daytime shows, but my wife does. And this would get it out in front of everybody and get a bigger buzz on it. Like, why don't they do stuff like that? Where is Haslab? Where are they? They're not doing anything to promote this. They're throwing a little bit online. They go to a couple of toy shows, and they think it's going to back. If they really want it to back, they'd be doing that. I still think it's going to back no matter what. And guess what? Their absence in major mainstream media means they plan for it to back anyway. And of course, the timing is terrible. There's so many other releases coming out. You got MP44 coming up. You've got a lot of stuff that Takara is putting out is coming up soon, like back to back to back to back. And yet Takara was involved in this, and yet it's still, they don't even think about it. I guess they think, well, everybody's got like, an $8,000 toy budget, so let's tap into that. No, they don't. So this is a terrible timing, and I got to say that the barge was timed just right. Tax season, not a whole lot coming out, recovered from Christmas more or less. But now, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's talks of Hasbro cutting production in China. What project do you think they're going to cut out of China? Maybe this one. Now that I don't know for sure where this will get produced, but if it gets cut out of China and it goes to one of the other places that doesn't produce as quality of product, that's a challenge. Now I think they may be getting out in front of the KO issue, because they would not want this KO'd. And because if it gets KO'd, then you lose confidence in future Haslab issues. Also, you cannot, count. You could just, I'll wait for someone to knock off the Haslab. If a Haslab gets knocked off, it's a bigger deal than just one of their 55 products for the year. This is a bigger deal. And so I think they may be pulling it out of China so it doesn't get KO'd. But who knows? No one knows for sure. That's speculation on the Tydirium hanger. The next thing I want to say is people want to talk negative about someone that wants to buy like 13 of these. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, why would you be negative on that? Like, I had a scalper video, and we need scalpers on this to get it funded. Now, I still guarantee it's going to get funded, but I'm going to talk to you about how it will. Those people that bought 13 barges. One guy claimed to have bought 40 barges. One guy showed he had 13 barges, and he put it up on eBay, and they all sold, and he made himself doubled his money, and he was happy, and people were happy they got a barge, and it all worked out. The people who speculate on this and buy extras are just creating more. More will exist. They are buying them into existence. Anyone who's like, oh, no, you shouldn't buy this to resell it. Well, guess what? You are saying make less. Don't give me enough opportunity to buy one later. I can't afford it now. Maybe I will then. Who knows? But the less that are made, the harder it will be to acquire. And in the future, you'll be thanking those scalpers if you didn't happen to pre-order it right now. And there's no scenario where you're going to find this, a year and a half from now for less than $1,000. And like I said, 880, I think, is a break-even point for the barge if you factor in all of those different funds. This is closer to $1,000, a break even. So we're saying that if you sell it for $1,000, you get your money back, you cover shipping, and you cover the eBay fees, you cover the PayPal fees, and you cover all of that, plus the fact that you could have put that money in the bank and made about $50 sitting in the bank. So, well, it's more like $28, but still, all those factors, including the opportunity cost of it in the bank, it's about $1,000 to get your money back out of this thing. So don't expect people to sell this to you for $627 or $650. It's not going to happen. Next, we'll talk about there's talk that they're going to make the head removable. So that's a new topic that I saw in an interview. I thought that was really interesting. So I know it's a big deal where the Unicron head floats around, but making the head removable itself, I think is interesting. And I got to thinking about it though. I was like, the head's not going to be huge. So you took it off and you put it next to anything else, it's just going to look a little odd. But it's still a cool feature, it blows up and his head floats around. And I thought that was okay. Another thing I got from one of these interviews was that it does take a while to transform. And they said to target 15-minute transformation, and I'm sure it's going to take far longer than 15 minutes. The guy himself said it took him an hour. But he said he didn't want to break the prototype, so he's being real careful. But I don't want to break a $650 investment myself, so I'm going to be real careful. So, I don't know. Another thing I got out of that interview is that the arms, part of the transformation is the arms are going to open up just like the way they do in the movie. So they actually integrate into the transformation the way that it transforms in the movie, which is just very iconic. And I can tell you, some of these features in this, there's no way it's going to be replicated in Zeta's. I mean, Zeta may do a decent one, but there's this detail that they did and how they had to go to this, the perfect sphere and all of that. I can't see that in Zeta. And lastly, if you want this and you've worked all the overtime and you have done everything you can and you've sold off the extra stuff that you don't really want or need, and you've gone the mile and you still can't come up with the 627 at the end, well, you know what? It is what it is. You could still enjoy your collection. You can still enjoy this through other people and watching videos and stuff, and it's not the end of the world. I am an advocate. You need to take care of your family first. I would never put this before my family. If that was the case, I would simply talk about it, make my videos, and I would just not order it. And yeah, would long to have it, want to have it. But if that's your case and that's your situation, then you need to take care of your family first. And I'm going to go on record with that. But I hope that you guys found this a little bit informative. I'm going to do another update probably in maybe a week or 10 days or something. I'm not sure. But the amount of information that just keeps coming out about this is interesting. And so I want to stay on top of it, and I want you to also. Like, subscribe, Titanium Hanger out.